A man who ignores you once will ignore you again. A man who disrespects you once will do it again. The question is, how many times will you let him? And right now, you're letting him over and over again. You are sitting in your own suffering, waiting for a man to acknowledge your existence. You are begging for attention from someone who has already shown you that you are not a priority. Look at yourself. Look at what you've become. You have become a woman who used to have fire in her soul, confidence in her step, a queen who deserved the world, now reduced to checking her phone like a desperate addict, waiting for her next hit of validation. Stop right now. Do you even hear yourself? Maybe he's just busy. Maybe I should wait. Maybe he'll realize my worth one day. Shut up. Wake up. You are out here making excuses for a man who treats you like an afterthought. You're standing in a burning house, choking on smoke, and instead of walking out the door, you're convincing yourself that the fire will eventually go out if you just wait long enough. But it won't, because he's the one who lit the match, and you're the one sitting there letting yourself burn. Press the like button right now if you're ready to take your power back. Subscribe if you're done being played, because this is your wake-up call. Welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time here, you came at the right time, because you are about to hear the truth. The raw, ugly, brutal truth that no one else will tell you. Society won't tell you, your friends won't tell you, and you sure as hell won't find it in the garbage fairy tales that told you if you just love him enough, he'll change. Lies. We've been fed lies since childhood. Love is patient. Love is kind. No, love is supposed to be reciprocal. Mutual, consistent love is supposed to make you feel safe, valued, and cherished. Love is not supposed to make you feel like you have to earn it. But here you are, treating his love like it's some grand prize you have to work for, as if the more patient you are, the more you suffer, the more you lower your standards, the more he will suddenly wake up and see your worth. He won't, because here's the truth. A man who truly wants you will never risk losing you. Read that again. Let it sink in. You want to know what happens when a woman stops being a fool for a man who doesn't deserve her? Let me tell you about a woman I worked with not long ago. A woman just like you, beautiful, smart, independent, but trapped in a cycle of waiting, hoping, and making excuses. She spent 2 years of her life, waiting for a man who only gave her breadcrumbs. He would disappear for days, then come back with a weak excuse. He would flirt with other women right in front of her face, and when she confronted him, he'd gaslight her into thinking she was overreacting. Every time she said she was done, he would sense it like a predator who knows exactly when to reel his prey back in. He would come back with love bombs. I miss you. I've just been going through a lot. You're the only one who understands me. And just like that, she would crumble, until one day she woke up and saw the reality. She was not special to him. She was just convenient. And you are not special to him. You are just convenient. I know it hurts. I know you don't want to believe it. But this pain, this is the truth setting you free. Because when she finally cut him off fully, completely, with no explanation, no warning, no second chances, do you know what happened? He panicked. He realized he had lost control. The calls came, the messages poured in, the desperate attempts to just talk. But by then, she didn't care anymore. And you need to get to that point. The moment you stop chasing, he will start wondering. The moment you stop waiting, he will start searching. And the moment you finally walk away for good, that's the moment he realizes he was never the prize. You were. Say this out loud right now. I refuse to be ignored. I am the prize. Type it in the comments. Show him. Show the universe. Show yourself, because this is just the beginning. Now, let's talk about what happens next. Let's talk about how to make him regret ever taking you for granted. Stay with me, because the next thing I say might just change your life. Number 1. He thinks you're an option. Show him he was never even a choice. So, my dear, tell me, when did you become so small? When did you start accepting a life where a man's half-hearted, inconsistent, pathetic excuses for love were enough? When did you start believing that waiting around, proving yourself, and lowering your standards would finally make someone love you the way you deserve? You were not born for this. But look at you now, sitting there justifying his absence, convincing yourself that he just needs time, he just needs space, he's just not ready for commitment. The same story millions of women have been told. The same story that keeps us trapped, keeps us second-guessing, keeps us wasting our youth, our love, our energy on men who were never worthy of us to begin with. And you know why? Because they trained you for this. Society raised you to be a woman who waits, to be patient, to be understanding, to be the one who bends, shrinks, sacrifices. Since childhood, you were fed the same lie. If you're a good woman, he will see your worth. But what did they never tell you? That a man who needs to be convinced of your worth was never worthy of you in the first place. And still, here you are, playing a game you were never meant to win. The game where you prove yourself. The game where you give and give and give, hoping one day he will wake up and love you back the way you love him. But let me tell you something brutal, something that will rip the blindfold off your eyes. That day will never come, because this was never about you not being enough. This was never about you needing to be more patient, more understanding, more loyal. This was about him knowing that you were too afraid to leave. And he was right. Every time he ignored your text and you texted again, you proved him right. Every time he disappeared for days and you welcomed him back like nothing happened, you proved him right. Every time you waited for him, cried for him, fought for him, while he did the bare minimum, you proved him right. You were too afraid to leave, but today, that ends. Because the version of you that tolerates this, she dies today. And yes, I know it hurts. It hurts to accept that the love you thought you had was never real. It hurts to realize that the man you dreamed of, the man you built an entire fantasy around, only existed in your head. That the version of him you loved was nothing more than a projection of your own hopes and dreams. But you need to feel this pain. Do not run from it. Do not numb it. Do not distract yourself with empty conversations, with meaningless rebounds, with self-sabotage. Feel every ounce of it, because this pain is your wake-up call. This pain is the death of the weak version of you. This pain is what burns down the version of you that accepted less than she deserved. So the real you, the one who never chases, never begs, never waits, can rise from the ashes. And that woman, she is unstoppable. But here's the thing about healing. It's ugly, it's brutal, it's not soft or easy or gentle. No one talks about how healing feels like war, like withdrawal, like detoxing from a drug you've been addicted to for years. Because that's what he was to you, a drug. You got addicted to the highs and lows, to the chaos, to the unpredictability. You confused inconsistency for passion, mixed his neglect with mystery, mistook his silence for depth. But the reality? He was never deep, he was never complicated, he was just selfish. And now you detox. You will crave him just like an addict craves their next fix. You will have moments of weakness where your hands shake to text him, to check his social media, to see if he still cares. But you won't do it, because this is how you teach him the price of ignoring you. Not with revenge, not with games, not with empty threats, but with your absence. Because the moment you stop being accessible, the moment you disappear, that is the moment he starts to feel what you felt all this time. You want him to miss you. Stop giving him the chance to have you. You want him to regret ignoring you, become the one woman he can never reach again. And if you're thinking, but what if he never comes back? Then let me ask you this. What exactly would you be losing? A man who didn't respect you, A man who ignored you? A man who made you feel like you weren't enough? That's not a loss, that's a damn blessing. Because the moment you let go of the wrong man, the right one finally has room to show up. And when he does, you won't have to prove yourself. You won't have to chase, beg, wait, or wonder. He will see your worth without you having to set yourself on fire to prove it. Because real love doesn't leave you questioning where you stand. Real love doesn't leave you crying over unanswered messages. And right now, you're wasting your time on a man who doesn't even deserve access to you. So from this moment forward, you flip the script. You stop being the woman who waits. You stop being the woman who overgives. You stop being the woman who makes a man feel safe in his disrespect. You become the woman he fears losing, and when he realizes what he lost, when he sees that you are no longer his safety net, his backup plan, his convenient little option, it will hit him, and it will hit him hard. But by then, you'll be too far gone to care. Say this out loud. I am not a choice. I am the prize. Now type it in the comments. Let him hear it. Let the world hear it. Let yourself hear it. Because next, we take it even further. Number 2, you're not a toy, so stop letting him play with you. So, my dear, tell me, why do you let him treat you like a damn toy? Why do you let him pick you up when he's bored and drop you the second something better comes along? Why do you keep making space in your life for a man who only remembers you when he has nothing else to do? Look at yourself. Look at what you've allowed. You jump when he calls you, melt when he sends a lazy hey after days of silence. You let him disappear, disrespect you, then walk back in like nothing happened, and you welcome him. Why? Because you think it means something? Because you think if he didn't care he wouldn't come back? Lies. A man who comes back isn't always a man who cares. Sometimes he's just a man who wants to make sure he still owns you, and right now, he does. He knows he can put in zero effort and still have access to you. He knows he can treat you like a backup plan, like a spare charger he only picks up when his main one isn't working. And you? You just sit there waiting to be useful to him again. How did you fall this low? How did you become so desperate for love that you've convinced yourself that crumbs are a meal? Because society told you this was love. It told you to be the patient woman, the forgiving woman, the one who never gives up. It told you that if a man comes back, it must mean something. That if you just give a little more, wait a little longer, love a little harder, one day he will change. But let's get one thing straight. A man who plays games with you does not love you. A man who ignores you and comes back whenever he wants isn't confused. He's just selfish. A man who expects you to sit there waiting isn't struggling with commitment. He's struggling with basic human decency. And yet, you're still here. Why? Because you've been conditioned to believe that your worth is based on whether a man chooses you. But let me break the illusion. You are not a prize he gets to win when he finally decides to be serious. A real man, a worthy man, would never risk losing you in the first place. But this one, he knows you'll still be there. He knows you're afraid to walk away. He knows that no matter how many times he ignores you, you'll keep showing up. So let me ask you, what exactly does he have to do for you to finally wake up? Does he need to ghost you for weeks? Does he need to cheat right in front of your face? Does he need to tell you outright that he doesn't care about you? Or will you finally realize right now, today, in this moment, that a man who truly loves you does not put you through this? Because love is not a game. Love is not a test. Love does not leave you confused, anxious, sick to your stomach, wondering what you did wrong. And if this man has you feeling any of those things, then he is not your person. And the worst thing you can do is stay. The longer you stay, the more you train yourself to accept disrespect. The longer you stay, the more you convince yourself that this is normal. The longer you stay, the harder it will be to leave, And that's exactly what he wants. He doesn't have to be consistent. He doesn't have to make an effort. He doesn't have to treat you like a queen because you have already shown him that you will settle for being his convenience. So from today forward, you stop. No more replying to his lazy messages. No more waiting for his attention. No more pretending that his half-ass effort is enough. You walk away. And when he notices your silence, when he comes back pretending like nothing happened, show him that you are not a toy. You are not a spare charger. You are not something he can use when it's convenient for him. You are the whole damn prize. Say it out loud. I am not his convenience, I am the prize. Now type it in the comments. Let the world hear it. Let him feel it, because next we go even deeper. Next, I show you exactly how to flip the script so hard that he won't even recognize the woman he used to play with. And trust me, he won't see it coming. Number 3, he wants you to wait. Flip the clock on him. So, my dear, tell me, how many more hours of your life are you going to waste waiting for a man who doesn't even think about you? How many more days, weeks, months are you going to pause your own happiness just because he won't send a damn text? How many more nights are you going to lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if today will be the day he finally realizes what he has in you? You are wasting your life on someone who is out there living his right now. He's not worried about you. He's not checking his phone, overthinking his words, wondering if he hurt you. He knows exactly what he's doing. And the worst part? He's comfortable doing it because he knows you're still there. He knows that no matter how long he disappears, no matter how inconsistent he is, no matter how many times he ignores you, you're still waiting, waiting like a fool. You've convinced yourself that waiting means you care, that waiting means you're patient, that waiting means you're proving your loyalty. No, waiting does not prove love. Waiting proves weakness. It proves to him that you have nothing better to do than sit around wasting your precious time hoping that one day he will pick you. How disgusting is that? Do you realize what you're doing to yourself? Do you realize how much of your life you are handing over to a man who doesn't even have the decency to send you a damn reply? If a man truly cared, he would not leave you questioning. If a man truly valued you, he would not risk losing you. If a man truly wanted you, you wouldn't have to sit here wondering where you stand. And yet, here you are. So let me ask you, when does it end? When do you finally stop giving a man access to your mind, your heart, your emotions, when he has already shown you that you are not his priority? Because here's the thing, a man will only make you wait when he is not afraid to lose you. Let that sink in. He's not responding because he knows you'll still be there. He's not prioritizing you because he doesn't have to. He's not committing because you've made it too damn easy for him to come and go as he pleases. So what do? You flip the clock on him. You stop waiting completely. You stop living on his timeline. You start living on yours. Right now, this second, you stop checking your phone. You stop wondering if he'll come back. You stop giving a damn, because let me tell you something powerful. The moment you stop waiting, he starts feeling it. You know why? Because he expects you to wait. He expects you to be there whenever he finally decides to grace you with his presence. But what happens when you're not? What happens when, instead of sitting there wasting your time, you start glowing, growing, moving forward without him? I'll tell you what happens. He panics. At first, he won't notice because he assumes you're still waiting, still holding on to hope, still stuck in his cycle. Then he'll start to wonder. Then he'll feel it, that emptiness where your attention used to be, that silence where your energy used to feed him, that void where your love used to give him control. And when he finally reaches out, when that half-ass hey finally lands on your phone screen, you don't even flinch. You don't reply. You don't react. You don't give him the satisfaction of thinking he still has access to you, because the truth is, he doesn't. He lost that privilege the moment he made you feel like an afterthought. And if he really wants to be part of your life, he will have to work for it, not with empty words, not with weak apologies, not with breadcrumbs of attention, but with real, undeniable, consistent effort. And even then, you still might not take him back, because by then, you'll realize that your time was never meant to be wasted on a man who couldn't even text back. Say this out loud: I do not wait. I am the prize. Now type it in the comments. Let the world hear it. Let him hear it, because next, we go deeper. Next, I show you how to make him regret ever thinking he could take his time with you. And trust me, he will regret it. Number 4, you think he's special, he's just another average dude. So my dear, explain this me. Why the hell do you think he's special? Why are you acting like this inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, half-ass excuse for a man is the rarest thing to ever exist? Have you lost your mind? Do you know how many men are just like him? Thousands. Millions. You think you found some mysterious, complex, once-in-a-lifetime love story, when in reality, you've just found another weak, emotionally stunted man who thinks giving you breadcrumbs makes him a king. He is not special. A man who ignores you isn't rare. He's the most common species alive. A man who plays games isn't a mystery. He's a predictable walking cliché. A man who keeps you guessing isn't valuable. He's a liability. And yet you're out here acting like he's the last damn man on earth. Wake up. There are billions of men out there. Billions. But you're stuck on this one. This inconsistent, half-effort, disappearing act. You're embarrassing yourself. And don't tell me it's because you love him. Love is not an excuse for self-destruction. You're not in love with him. You're in love with the idea of him. You've built a fantasy version of this man in your head, a version where he just needs time, a version where he'll come around, a version where he's different when you're alone. It's all because the real version of him, the one who ignores you, strings you along, plays mind games, that's the one you need to see clearly. If he truly wanted you, he would be with you. No confusion, no mixed signals, no guessing games, just clarity. But he doesn't want you the way you want him, and that hurts, doesn't it? It hurts to admit that the man you've put on a pedestal, the man you've waited for, the man you've given chance after chance, was never worth it. Let it hurt, because pain is better than delusion. You need to feel this truth so deeply that it burns away every last ounce of the illusion you've been living in, because once you do, you will be free. I had a client once, a woman who was convinced that her situation was different. She swore up and down that her man was not like the rest, that he was complicated, just needed time, had a lot on his plate. You know what happened? 2 years. 2 years she spent waiting. 2 years of wondering if she was enough. 2 years of blaming herself for his neglect. 2 years of ignoring reality because the fantasy was easier. And then one day, she found out he had been engaged to another woman the whole time. Did that wake her up? Yes. But guess what? She didn't have to waste 2 years of her life to learn that lesson, and neither do you. The truth is already in front of you. You just don't want to see it. So let me say it again, louder this time. He is not special. He is not rare. He is not irreplaceable. He is not the last man you'll ever love. But do you know who is? You. There is only one of you, and yet you're wasting your once-in-a-lifetime energy on a man who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared for a week. That is your real loss, not him. You losing yourself in the process of trying to keep him. So let's make this clear. You will no longer put this man on a pedestal. From this second forward, you see him for what he truly is, just another average dude. You will no longer shrink yourself, break yourself, lose yourself for someone who is so damn replaceable. And when you finally let go of the idea that he was special, you'll realize that the real prize was you all along. Say it out loud. He is not special. I am. Now type it in the comments. Let the world hear it. Let him feel it. Let yourself believe it. Because next, we show him exactly what it looks like when a woman like you finally wakes up. And trust me, he won't like what's coming. Number 5, starve him of your energy. Let him feel the void. So, my dear, tell me, why are you still feeding him? Why are you still pouring your energy into a man who gives you nothing but breadcrumbs in return? Why are you keeping him alive in your world when he treats you like a second option in his? Right now, you are his free supply. You are his constant validation, his emotional security blanket, his backup plan. And what does he give you in return? Confusion, inconsistency, a void where love should be. But here's what you don't understand. Men only learn through loss. You want him to realize what he had? You don't cry. You don't beg. You don't argue. You don't explain. You vanish completely. And I don't mean just deleting his number and hoping he notices. I mean you remove yourself so completely from his life that it feels like you never existed. No texts, no social media stalking, no checking to see if he's online, no replaying old messages like they meant something, no listening to sad songs hoping he somehow feels your pain. He won't, because let me tell you something brutal, something that will slap the delusion right out of you. He does not feel your pain, at least not yet. He doesn't feel bad while you sit there staring at your phone. He doesn't feel guilty while you're crying yourself to sleep. He doesn't feel regret while you're out here torturing yourself over a man who isn't even thinking about you. You know when he feels it? When you're gone, when he realizes he no longer has access to you, when he sends a message and gets silence, when he checks your profile and sees nothing, when he realizes that the woman who once would have done anything for him doesn't care anymore. That is when he will feel the void, because right now you are his safety net, and men do not change when they feel safe. They change when they feel loss. And I know what you're thinking. But what if he moves on? Then let him. Let him run to another woman and try the same games. Let him think he's winning. Let him believe he's fine without you, because he will learn. He will learn that no one else will tolerate what you tolerated. He will learn that no one else will love him the way you did. He will learn that the woman he took for granted was the woman he should have fought for. And by the time he realizes it, you will be too far gone to care because, my dear, you are not here to teach him your worth. You are not his mother, his therapist, his emotional rehabilitation center. You are a queen, and a queen does not beg for a man to see her value. She removes herself and lets him suffer in the loss. So what do you do now? You starve him of your energy. You take all that love, all that attention, all that time that you wasted on him, and you give it back to yourself. You start hitting the gym. You start going out. You start leveling up in every way possible, mentally, emotionally, physically. You become so untouchable, so elevated, so out of reach, that even if he comes crawling back, he won't even recognize the woman he lost. And by then, he will have lost his chance. Say this out loud. I am the loss he will never recover from. Now type it in the comments. Let the world hear it. Let the universe feel it, because next we go even deeper. Next, I show you exactly how to become the woman he fears losing the most. And trust me, he will feel it. Number 6, when he crawls back, don't you dare fold. So, my dear, listen to me very carefully, because this is the moment that decides everything. He's going to notice your silence, and it will drive him insane. At first, he'll pretend he doesn't care. He'll tell himself you'll crack, that you'll come crawling back like you always do. He'll wait, acting like your absence doesn't faze him. But when the days pass, when his ego starts to itch, when he realizes that his little puppet isn't dancing anymore, that's when the panic sets in. And suddenly, like clockwork, he'll start testing the waters. A weak-ass hey, a random reaction to your story, a half-hearted "I miss you" at 2 a.m. when no one else is giving him attention. And what do? You ignore his ignorance. You do not answer. You do not react. You do not let him think for 1 second that he still owns you, because the moment you reply, the moment you give in even a little bit, you prove him right. You prove to him that he still has power over you, that he can ignore you, disappear, treat you like nothing, and all he has to do is throw you a little bait, and boom, there you are, right back in his control. And let me tell you something brutal. He doesn't even want you. He just wants to know he still has you. He wants to know that even after everything, he can still snap his fingers and you'll come running. And that's exactly why you don't. Because this isn't real love. This is manipulation. A man who truly wanted you would have never risked losing you in the first place. A man who values you would never make you feel like an option. A man who actually loves you wouldn't need to come crawling back because he would have never left. So what do? You make his worst fear come true. You make him feel the full weight of what it's like to lose you. You let him sit in the silence. You let him feel what you felt all those times he ignored you. You let him realize that you are no longer within reach. And trust me, it will hit him hard, because here's the secret that weak men never tell you. They don't fear losing you. They fear losing control over you. And when you finally go silent, when you finally become the one he can't reach, can't manipulate, can't pull back into his little game, that's when he loses. Because by the time he realizes what he lost, you will already be gone. And he will try. Oh, he will try. He will send a text that makes you hesitate. He will play the nostalgia game, reminding you of the good times. He will pretend he's changed, as if one moment of silence suddenly turned him into a man worth your time. And that will be the moment where you choose yourself, where you look at your phone, see his name, and instead of feeling weak, you feel nothing, because you have finally woken up. And the version of you that used to chase, beg, and accept less, she doesn't exist anymore. This is what healing looks like. This is what power feels like. And when you hold that line, when you finally refuse to let him back in, that is when you win. Say it out loud. I am no longer available for men who don't value me. Now type it in the comments. Let the world hear it. Let him hear it. Because next, I show you how to make him feel the regret so deep that it keeps him up at night. And trust me, he will feel it. Number 7, you think walking away is hard, staying is worse. So, my dear, tell me, what are you so afraid of? You sit there, stuck in this cycle, convincing yourself that walking away will hurt too much, that cutting him off will feel like losing a part of yourself, that life without him will be empty, lonely, unbearable. But let's be brutally honest. What exactly are you losing? A man who disrespects you, a man who chooses you only when it's convenient for him, a man who makes you feel like you are never quite enough. That's not love. That's self-destruction. And every single day that you stay, you're the one choosing to destroy yourself. Because the real pain is not in walking away. The real pain is in staying with a man who is slowly making you forget who you are. And that's exactly what's happening, isn't it? You used to be strong. You used to be confident. You used to have standards. But now you tolerate what you swore you never would. You make excuses for him. You lower your expectations. You let him break your heart in slow motion. One missed text, one broken promise, one cold, distant look at a time. And you let him get away with it because deep down, you're more afraid of the emptiness of losing him than the reality of how badly he's treating you. But let me tell you something that will change your life. You are already alone in this relationship. Do you hear me? You are already alone. A man who ignores you, disrespects you, and makes you question your worth is not a partner. You have spent so much time trying to hold this relationship together on your own that you've convinced yourself that he's still in it. But he's not. He checks out whenever he wants. He disappears whenever he feels like it. He puts in the bare minimum and still expects your loyalty. And you are giving him everything while receiving nothing. Tell me, is this what you dreamed of when you imagined love? Is this what you thought love would feel like? Because love, real love, does not feel like this. Love does not make you cry yourself to sleep wondering if you're good enough. Love does not leave you feeling anxious every time your phone vibrates. Love does not make you feel like you have to prove yourself, like you have to fight for your place in someone's life. But this situation you're in, this is not love. This is a trap, a prison you built for yourself, where you convinced yourself that staying is somehow safer than leaving. But let's get one thing straight. Staying is killing you. Every time you accept his half-hearted effort, you kill a little piece of yourself. Every time you take him back after he ignores you, you break your own heart before he even gets the chance to. Every time you hold on to hope that one day he'll change, you waste another day of your life on a man who has no intention of changing. So I need you to ask yourself, how much more of yourself are you willing to lose before you finally say enough? Because let me tell you what happens when you finally walk away. At first, it will feel like hell. You will cry. You will want to call him. You will wonder if you made a mistake. You will miss the routine of loving someone who never truly loved you back. And that's okay. Feel it. Sit with it. Let it break you, because after the breakdown comes the breakthrough. And then you start to heal. And when that healing begins, you will see him for exactly what he was, a lesson. A lesson that taught you what you should never tolerate again. A lesson that showed you how low you had let yourself sink. A lesson that burned so deeply, so painfully, that you will never again allow a man to treat you like you are disposable. And when that day comes, you will thank yourself for walking away because the woman you are becoming. She is powerful. She is untouchable. She is the one he will regret losing for the rest of his life. Say this out loud. I deserve better. I choose myself. Now type it in the comments. Let him hear it. Let yourself hear it. Let the universe hear it. Because next, I show you how to make sure he feels the weight of your absence like a storm he never saw coming. And trust me, he will feel it. Number 8. A queen doesn't chase, she replaces. So, my dear, are you finally ready to stop embarrassing yourself? Are you finally done chasing after a man who has made it painfully clear that he does not value you? Are you finally done crying over a man who doesn't even think about you when he lays his head on his pillow at night? Because let's be honest, you've been out here begging for attention, begging for a reply, begging for the bare minimum from a man who should have been grateful just to be in your presence. Enough. A queen does not beg. A queen does not chase. A queen replaces. And if you think for 1 second that walking away means losing something, let me remind you, you are not losing him. He is losing you. You are not losing a man who cherished you, protected you, loved you properly, because he never did any of that. You are losing the illusion. And when you finally replace him with peace, with happiness, with a man who actually knows your worth, he will feel it. He will feel it when his calls go unanswered. He will feel it when he sees you smiling again, glowing again, untouchable. He will feel it when he realizes that the woman, who once made him the center of her world, has built a whole new world without him. And by then, you won't even care, because the opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference. It's looking at him and feeling nothing, and that is the moment you win. Say it out loud. I do not chase, I replace. Now type it in the comments. Show him, show yourself, show the universe. And trust me, what's coming next is the final nail in the coffin. You want to make him feel what he made you feel. Stay with me, because the next step is the one that will haunt him forever, and that, my dear, is how you take your power back. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more chasing. From this moment on, you are the prize, and the second he realizes it, it will be too late. Now, if this hit home, drop a comment. I choose me. Let the world, let him, let yourself hear it. And if you're ready to become untouchable, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with every woman who needs to wake up, because queens don't beg. They walk away, and they never look back. See you in the next one.